Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching, yes, yours as well as my channel. It is nearly 1:30 in the morning and my ISC students, you all had asked me that I should come up with a similar video as I had uploaded for my ICSE students. So here I am, and before I proceed with my video, yes, you know what's coming. I would want you to subscribe to my channel and do press the like button if you find it useful after you have gone through it. So as I had done in ICSE, I had discussed, because this will be a revision on the eve of your exam. You all have already read everything, so I don't need to go into details, but which are the places you will focus while going through the chapters as a revision. So you have two acts, Act 4 and Act 5. In Act 4, the board specimen, I have already discussed how does Prospero show himself as a concerned father. Here, the way he keeps on warning Ferdinand not to get too intimate with Miranda. So yes, you are going to do that, and also the mask regarding Iris, Ceres and Juno. So till the mask is performed, you have all those questions coming from it. So that has also been discussed a little. But after that, when the mass suddenly ends, what happens? When the mass suddenly ends, or Prospero gives the orders to end the mass, and then Prospero seems to be in an agitated mood. And what does he say? Even Ferdinand, he seems quite puzzled, confused as to why is Prospero acting in this way. Even Miranda, she tells she has never seen her father being so violent or looking so angry. And then what does Prospero tell them? What does he say to pacify them? He realizes that both of them are confused. So what does he tell them? So pay attention to that part. Here it is. Miranda remarks, "Never till this day saw I him touched with anger so distempered." Then Prospero realizes that his sudden change in behavior has puzzled these two. So what does he tell? "You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you are dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended." So this whole speech, while revision, go through this. There are all chances, I'm not saying it will come, but if it comes, you will be able to handle it, because this is difficult. It did not come in the specimen, but that does not mean it might not come in the boards. So please go through this well, because here Prospero tries to go into little bit of depth. So what does he say? "These are actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and are melted into thin air." And based on this melted into thin air, he will go on talking in depths about how transitory things are. Things in nature, nothing is permanent, and how one day all these things, they will melt or dissolve. So these lines are important. Please go through them while revising. Focus on these lines, because if you are not prepared and if this one comes, it will be difficult handling it. So you might get a question that what does Prospero mean when he says that these are actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve. And like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. So what is he trying to highlight? He is trying to highlight the transitoriness of all the things. So he says that just like the spirits who were playing the part of Ariel, playing the part of Iris, Ceres, Juno, and they have melted into the thin air, a time will come when nothing will remain. All these snow-capped, cloud-capped towers, that means the high towers which reach more or less the level of the clouds, sign of human glory. So these things which pierce the clouds, the palaces, the gorgeous palaces, the royal palaces, the stately palaces, and also the sacred temples, not only these but also the vast universe and all that is within the universe, a time will come when they will fade away in the same way as the mask had faded away, had dissolved into thin air. All these things also will one day fade away. And then he talks about us also, we human beings, us in the sense he is talking about human beings also, that we are as if made of elements of dream. Dream is not real. And our short life, it is like a brief interval. So the sleep, so we are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. The brief life which we lead on this earth, it ends in a sleep. This sleep is not the sleep which we have every day. This is the permanent sleep or death. So he talks of all these. Why? He brings in the reference of all those spirits who were enacting the roles of Iris, Ceres and Juno, and in the same way as they have dissolved into thin air, all the things that symbolize human glory and all that, the high towers, the stately palaces and the sacred temples, one day they will also leave no trace behind. They will also fade away. The universe and all the things that are in the universe, they will also. So he is trying to point out the transitoriness of everything. The universe along with everything that is inside it, everything that the universe has within itself, they will also fade away. They will become traceless. And then he says, we are as if made up of dreams, not real. And the short life which we lead, it ends in a sleep. And then he gives the reason to Ferdinand, not the right reason, of course. He doesn't give the correct reason to Ferdinand. What does he tell? Sir, I am vexed. Yes, I am annoyed. I am troubled. Bear with my weakness. And he tells Ferdinand to be a bit tolerant, to bear with his weakness. My old brain is troubled. Be not disturbed with my infirmity. If you be pleased, retire into my cell and there repose. So he tells Ferdinand to be a bit tolerant, because yes, please have some patience because of my weakness. So if you don't take any notice of my weakness, and if you seem perplexed, you can go to my cell and take and go and have some rest there. And while I pace up and down and try to cool my disturbed mind. Why does he say this? Because he doesn't want to discuss his plan in front of Ferdinand and Miranda. The plan to punish Caliban, Stefano and Trinculo. He doesn't want this plan to be discussed in front of Ferdinand. That is why he tells them to go and take some rest in his cell. So this is one speech which, while revising on the eve of your exams, you will, I am not saying it is coming, I am not saying that, but if it comes, you will be able to handle it. This is my suggestion, because it is a bit different. And then another small question, not very difficult, and it can come, that what does Ariel say when Prospero asks him that where did he leave these wretched fellows? So, where didst thou leave these varlets? So, what answer does Ariel give? So, Ariel's speech, it can again come as a 4 marks question. So, you need to know what are the things Ariel did to all these. I told you, sir, they were red hot with drinking. so full of valor that they smote the air for breathing in their faces, bed the ground for kissing their feet, yet always bending towards their project. So how were they behaving when Ariel left them? That they were trying to behave in a violent manner and very brave manner. Why? Because they were too drunk, and that is why they were behaving as very courageous. In reality, Stefano and Trinculo, they are not so. But this courage came to them on account of their being drunk. So what did they do? They tried to beat the air. Why? Oh air, why are you blowing on our face or on my face? And then they tramped the ground. Why? Because the ground, how dare you kiss our feet? And not only that, while they behaved in this outrageous manner, but yet still they kept on proceeding to complete their mission. What was their mission? Their mission was to kill Prospero. So never again did they lose focus. Their focus was to accomplish the mission of killing Prospero, so that Stefano becomes the lord of the island and Trinculo his deputy. So what did Ariel do then? Then I bet my tabor, at which, like unbacked colts, they pricked their ears, advanced their eyelids, lifted up their noses as they smelt music. So I charmed their ears, that calf-like they my lowing followed. Through toothed briars, sharp furges, pricking groves and thorns, which entered their frail shins. At last I left them in the filthy mantle pool beyond your cell, there dancing up to the chins, that the foul lake overstung their feet. So this is what Ariel did to them. So as they were completely drunk and behaving in an outrageous fashion, but still they were proceeding towards their mission in spite of being drunk and behaving in this stupid manner. So what did Ariel do? He started beating the drum, and hearing the drum, they behaved like colts. Colts are young untrained horses. They are supposed to act very wildly, but the moment they hear the sound of music, they undergo a transformation. This is what had been also told by Lorenzo in Act 5 of Merchant of Venice. The effect of music on colts. So here also these three characters, or rather Stefano and Trinculo, when they heard the music of the drum, they pricked up their ears like the colts. So they are being compared to colts. And what did they do? Their eyelids, they advanced their eyelids or lifted up their eyes, they blew up their noses as if to smell the music. And what did Ariel do? So he charmed them with the music so much that, like a calf follows the lowing of its mother, in the same way they followed the music played by Ariel in a calf-like manner. So they followed the music just like a calf follows the lowing of its mother. When the cow lows out to its calf, and the calf, hearing that lowing of the mother, keeps on following. In the same way, the moment they heard this music, this charmed music or the captivating music produced by Ariel, they started following it. And they did not care, they did not look at the ground. We say, na, look before you leap. So they did not look at where they were walking. So whatever came in their way, they didn't care. So Ariel deliberately went on playing the music. He was not on the ground walking. See, he was in the air, but these people were walking. So he made them pass through what? Toothed briars, sharp furzes, pricking groves and thorns. So he deliberately made them walk through prickly plants and shrubs. And what happened? These thorns, they pricked their shins and injured them. And finally, what did Ariel do? Which was the last part of his act? At last I left them in the filthy mantled pool beyond your cell. So finally I left them struggling in the stinking pool which is just behind your cell. And it was more stinking than their feet. So in the stinking pool I left them. So if you get a question that what did Ariel do, or rather when Prospero asks Ariel where did he leave these three wretched creatures, so this can be one of your questions. I am not saying it will come, but if it comes, you need to know the facts. How does Ariel report to his master what he had done with these three wretched creatures? And after Ariel leaves on the orders of Prospero to bring those dresses, the what should we say, the shining gaudy dresses. So what does he tell about Caliban? So a devil, a born devil, on whose nature nurture can never stake, on whom my pains humanly taken all lost, quite lost. As with age his body uglier grows, so his mind cankers. I will plague them all even to roaring. So what does Prospero tell about Caliban? So because Caliban is the mastermind of this subplot, the conspiracy of the what should we say, of the subplot, the conspiracy. There is one conspiracy in the major plot, that is the schemer of that plot is Antonio, and here it is Caliban, the main planner, the main schemer of this conspiracy. So Prospero is very angry and he says that he is a born devil, and his wicked nature, it will never profit by any training. Prospero had given him a lot of training, but it yielded no result, it was all futile. So he feels that all the trouble which I had taken to train him in a kind manner, they have all been wasted, all in vain. And as he grows with age, he becomes physically uglier and also mentally perverse. So with his aging, as he grows older, he becomes all the more uglier physically and a pervert mentally. So this is what Prospero says about Caliban. And then again when Trinculo and Stefano, they are quite near the cell and Ariel has put the gaudy dresses to trap them. The gaudy dresses, yes, they will get attracted by it and then they will be hunted by Prospero and Ariel with the help of the other spirits. So then Stefano, and Caliban doesn't want that they should be paying attention to these gaudy dresses. He just wants the job to be done at all cost. But Stefano and Trinculo, both of them, one is a butler and the other is a fool, the court jester. So to them these dresses appear to be very valuable, whereas Caliban realizes that these are nothing but trash and he tells them to proceed in their mission. But Stefano scolds him, "Be you quiet, monster? Mistress Line, is this not my jerkin?" So he picks up one of the dress and, "Mistress Line, is this not my jerkin? Now is the jerkin under the line. Now jerkin, you are like to lose your hair and prove a bald jerkin." So what does Stefano mean by this? And then Trinculo says, do we steal by line and level, and it like your grace? I thank thee for that jest. Here is a garment for it, which shall not go unrewarded. While I am king of this country, steal by line and level is an excellent pass of pay. There is another garment for it. So you might get a question, what does Stefano mean when he says, "Mistress Line, you are and now jerkin, you are to lose your hair and prove a bald jerkin"? So what does he mean by this? So we find that Stefano, he pulls down one of the dresses and which had been hung deliberately on the line by Ariel on the orders of Prospero to trap these wretched or wicked creatures. So he pulls one of the dress, and he is in a drunken state, and he is addressing as if the lime tree as Mistress Line, as if she is his beloved. And then he takes one of the clothes, or rather a jacket, from that cloth line where Ariel has hung it, and he is telling, now it is under the line. So it is, yes, under the clothes line, and he will use this jacket so much that it will lose all the hair. That means jackets, the hair it has on its surface, I will wear it so much. So overuse, when he use something, the jacket will lose its hair. So he will wear it so much that it becomes hairless, like the people who cross the line. Here line is used in two senses. One is the cloth line, and another is the line means the equator. And when people cross equator, they are supposed to be affected with a strange type of illness which makes them lose their hair and become bald. So that is what he is referring, that I will use it so much that you will become a bald jerkin. So now it is the jerkin under the line. Now jerkin, you are like to lose your hair and prove a bald jerkin. So he is using it in a different sense when he says that yes, jerkin, I will use it so much that you will become a bald jerkin. In the same way as people who cross the line, they lose their hair when they get affected by the illness and strange illness, and they become bald. So they lose their hair when they are in the equator, and jerkin, you will lose your hair because I will be using you too much, I will be wearing you too much. And then another one is do we steal by line and level, and it like your grace. So this one is spoken by Trinculo. So what does he mean by it? Because we find Stefano appreciating it very much. So what are they really doing? They are not doing anything glorious. They are stealing, they are robbing someone else's property. This doesn't belong to them. So Trinculo, when Stefano pulls out a dress and he says he will be wearing it, wearing it bald, he will be wearing the jacket bald. He won't become bald, he will be wearing the jacket so much that it will become bald. So Trinculo feels, yes, I also have to say something witty. He doesn't want to be left behind because he is a court jester, and court jesters were noted for their witty talk. So why should he be left behind by Stefano? So what does he say? So he also plays on the word line, and he says that we steal by line and level. So they should steal the line. Line and level means stealing in a very methodical or systematic manner. So he is telling, yes, we are stealing the garments in a very methodical or systematic manner. So on hearing this, Stefano, who has before killing Prospero only started thinking of him as the lord of this island, so he wants to reward Trinculo for this wise and witty talk. So he appreciates this joke and gives him a garment as if these garments belong to him. He has already started, everything in this island belongs to me, the dresses. So because of Trinculo's wit, he appreciates when Trinculo says we steal by line and level, that means we steal in a systematic manner. And so he offers him one dress as a reward. Why? Because he feels that line and level is something very witty. So he becomes generous enough to offer Trinculo a dress. Now in let's proceed to Act 5. In Act 5, so when Prospero asks Ariel about the condition of the king, in the very first few lines only, about the condition of the king and his followers, so what does Ariel tell him? What report does Ariel submit to Prospero? So go through them because there are points in it. So in a 4 marks question you might get these type where you are required to discuss or write down some details, some facts about the happenings. Like here, how fares the king and his followers? For this you need to know how the king and his followers how are they behaving, in what condition are they. So what does Ariel say? Confined together in the same fashion as you gave in charge, just as you left them. All prisoners, sir, in the lime grove, which weather fends your cell. They cannot budge till your release. The king, his brother, and yours. All three distracted. And the remainder, that means the others, Gonzalo, Adrian, and Francisco, these three, mourning over them, brimful of sorrow and dismay. But chiefly him you turned as the good old Lord Gonzalo. His tears run down his beards like winter drops from eaves of reeds. Your charm so strongly works them that if you now beheld them, your affections would become tender. So Ariel gives a detailed report. So he says that when you left them in my charge, they are there, still there. They have all become prisoners in the lime grove, which is behind your cell, and the lime grove which shelters your cell from rough weather. King Alonso, his brother Sebastian, and your brother Antonio, they are in a distracted state of mind. And the remainder, that means the other three, they are crying, they are mourning over the condition of the king, his brother, and the Duke of Milan. But who's the one who seems to be most affected? Gonzalo. Tears. The good old Lord Gonzalo, his tears runs down his beards like winter drops from eaves of reeds. So the one who is the most deeply affected is Gonzalo, and tears keep on streaming down his beard. And in the same way as icicles, they melt from the thatched roofs. So what a simile. The tears of Gonzalo coming down his beard, white beard, and coming down his white beard in the same way as icicles, they drop from a thatched roof. So this is what Ariel reports to Prospero when he asks him about the condition of the king and his followers. And then this one I think was in the question. So the rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. They being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose that extend not a frown further. Prospero says this. Go release them, Ariel. My charms I'll break, their senses I'll restore, and they shall be themselves. So when Prospero hears from Ariel about their pathetic condition and how Ariel being a spirit also feels sorry for them, so he says, if you a spirit can feel sorry, I being a human being, how can I not remain unaffected? And then he says that virtue is much better, forgiveness. This line, the rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. So he feels that the nobler action is not to take revenge upon them. They have done something wicked, but the nobler action is forgiving them, not to take revenge. And since they are already repentant, then I will not proceed any further in taking revenge. I will break the charm and restore their senses. And now, as Prospero feels that everything is working according to his plans, everything is working satisfactorily, his enemies are at in his power, whether it is Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo, or whether it is Alonso, Sebastian, and Antonio, they are all under him. And whatever he had wanted, that Miranda and Ferdinand should fall in love with each other, that has also taken place. So everything is under control now. So now he doesn't need his magic anymore. So that is why in the next speech he wants to break his magic wand and all his magic books also. He wants to drown them deep in the sea, and he wants to break his magic wand and bury it deep down in the earth. So this as if seems that he is bidding farewell to magic. And many critics say that it is Prospero is as if Shakespeare. He is trying to say goodbye to stage. He is going to retire, and this is said to be one of his last plays. After that, he bids goodbye to stage and returns back to Avon. He was known as the Bard of Avon, remember? And so after this, when all the three they are brought before Prospero, and he puts them in a circle, and then what does he tell? So there can be a question. Holy Gonzalo, honorable man. So what does he tell Gonzalo? Mine eyes, even sociable to the show of thine, fall fellowly drops. Remember, Ariel had reported that Gonzalo was crying like anything, as if like icicles dropping from a thatch roof. The tears were streaming down his beard. So he is telling that yes, Gonzalo, even I shed similar drops of tears of sympathy. In the same way as you are crying, you are shedding tears, I am also shedding tears of sympathy on seeing your condition. And then he dissolves his charm. The charm dissolves apace, but it is going very slowly. He has broken the charm and released them, but it will take time, some time for them to come back to normalcy. So how does he address these people who are in front of him? So this a question might come once Ariel brings these people in front of him: Gonzalo, Alonso, Sebastian and Antonio. What does Prospero tell them? So what does he tell Gonzalo? What does he tell these? So to Gonzalo he says, "O good Gonzalo, my true preserver, and a loyal sir, to him thou followest. I will pay thy graces home, both in word and deed." So Gonzalo, this is the man who was responsible for Prospero's preservation. Prospero survived only because of this man, because he had put in food, clothes, water, and also his magic books. Okay, and this had helped Prospero to survive. So that is why he calls Gonzalo his true preserver. And he says, you are also a loyal follower of your master. That means, yes, Prospero appreciates this quality in Gonzalo. Gonzalo was the leader of that army. Why? Because Alonso had ordered him. He was a servant of Alonso, obeying his commands. But at the same time, he listened to his conscience and helped Prospero. And even now we find him equally loyal to Alonso. So that is why Prospero says, "A loyal sir, to him thou followest. I will pay thy graces home, both in word and deed." So I will reward you. I will repay the kindness, both not only in words but in actions also. And then what does he tell Alonso? "Most cruelly didst thou, Alonso, use me and my daughter." So you have treated me and my daughter in a very cruel manner. "Thy brother was a furtherer in the act, and thou art pinched for it now, Sebastian." So Sebastian was also an accomplice in the job of ousting or throwing out Prospero from his dukedom. Alonso and Sebastian had also been an accomplice in this act, and that is why he is suffering the pangs of conscience very much. Not only for that, he is also suffering the pangs of conscience because he had joined hands with Antonio in trying to commit fratricide or the killing of his brother. So they are all in an abstract state of mind, and Prospero is now telling Sebastian, thou art pinched for it now, Sebastian. Sebastian, you are suffering from the pangs of a guilt conscience because of your support to Alonso in throwing me out of my dukedom. Flesh and blood, you brother mine, that entertained ambition, expelled remorse and nature, whom with Sebastian, whose inward pinches therefore are most strong, would here have killed your king, I do forgive thee. So Prospero knows all about their plans. Why? Because Ariel has reported it to him. He had told Ariel to keep an eye on these, and Ariel has reported that they were planning the murder of the king. So he tells his brother that you are my own flesh and blood. Yes, the same blood flows in his veins also as that of Prospero. And you were so ambitious that you just threw away pity and all your natural feelings, and you also deprived me of my dukedom. Not only that, you conspired with Sebastian to kill the king, and that is why Sebastian's sufferings are the most. First he had joined hand with Alonso, and now he joins hands with you in planning to kill his brother, and that is why Sebastian is suffering from guilt pangs or the pangs of his conscience the most. But Prospero, he forgives them. I do forgive thee. He forgives Antonio also. Unnatural though thou art, yeah, though you are unnatural. Should a brother be like this? Yes, he is a brother. He is a unnatural brother, and he has also brainwashed Sebastian into being another unnatural brother like him, and giving him and filling him with the same ambition that had led him to conspire against his own brother Prospero. And then he notices these are still in an abstract state of mind when Prospero talks to them. But Prospero realizes that they are slowly coming back to normalcy. Their understanding is slowly returning. So, yes, this is one place where you should focus. And much later, you will find when Alonso, they are all brought to the cave, and they see Ferdinand and Miranda playing chess, and they get to know that Miranda is Prospero's daughter, and very happily does Alonso agree to the union of these two. So Gonzalo, what does he say? I have inly wept, or should have spoken ere this. Look down, ye gods, and on this couple drop a blessed crown, for it is you that have chalked forth the way which brought us hither. So Gonzalo, he is weeping inwardly, otherwise he would have spoken much before. So he wants God to bless this. Why? Because he feels there must be a reason for our coming to this island. Yeah, the meeting of Ferdinand and Miranda would not have been possible if they had not come to this island, had they not been shipwrecked. He doesn't know that Prospero had created this tempest. So he feels that the gods must have had this plan, and that is why they had all landed in this island. And then the next speech of Gonzalo is very important. I feel so. So go through it, because if you are giving a question, you should know the answer. So what is it? Gonzalo puts a question: was Milan thrust for Milan that his issue should become king of Naples? Why does Gonzalo say this? So Duke of Milan is Prospero. So he was thrown out of Milan. Was it because of this that his issues, that means his grandchildren, Miranda's children, should become the heir of Naples? Yeah, when Miranda becomes the wife of Ferdinand and the queen, and she gives birth to a son, so the son will be the heir of heir of Naples. So was Milan thrust from Milan? So was Milan here refers to the Duke of Milan. Was the Duke of Milan, Prospero, ousted or thrust from Milan that his issue should become king of kings? And then why does he tell the others to rejoice? What are the strange things that happened in this journey? So you might be asked a question, what are the strange things that happened in this journey as mentioned by Gonzalo? Oh, rejoice beyond the common joy and set it down with gold on lasting pillars. In one voyage did Caliban her husband find at Tunis, and Ferdinand her brother found a wife, where he himself was lost. Prospero his dukedom in a poor isle, and all of us ourselves where no man was his own. So yes, here also you need to know the facts. If you get a question, why does Gonzalo tell everyone to rejoice beyond a common measure? Because strange things have happened here, and so much so that they need to be written in gold on pillars, strong pillars, permanent pillars, lasting pillars, and written on gold. These events need to be written on gold on lasting pillars. That yes, in one voice so many things happen, so many events. What? Claribel, Alonso's daughter, found her husband. Yeah, they had journeyed to Tunis and she found her husband there. While returning, Ferdinand, when he considered himself lost in this island, he found his wife. And not only that, Prospero his dukedom. Prospero found his dukedom in this island. The dukedom was restored to him. So he found his dukedom back here in this island only, and all of them, they got their senses back. A time had come when none of them were masters of their senses, but they regained their senses here. Yeah, that was Prospero's magic. They don't know that. So he feels all of us, we have gained something. Prospero has gained his dukedom. Ferdinand has gained a wife. Claribel has gained a husband, and we have gained our senses which we had lost. So yes, I know you are going to study everything, but at the same time you will be going through these, because you might get a question of this type. So if you study them, you will know how to handle, and then later. And yes, I would also advise you to focus a little on the last part of this scene. I am not saying these are the only ones you will study. While studying, give more focus on these, because if questions come from here, you might find it difficult to handle. That is why I am saying that you need to give some more importance to these. And of course, the last part of the drama, which we call the epilogue. So epilogue has always been an important part of the Tempest. So epilogue is as if Prospero's bidding farewell. Not only that, in a way Shakespeare's bidding farewell to stage. So now my charms are all overthrown, and what strength I have is mine own, which is most faint. This is now it is true, I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardoned the deceiver dwell in this bare island by your spell. But release me from my bands. Gentle breath of yours my sails, with the help of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails. Of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself, and fees all faults. As you from crimes would pardon be, let your indulgence set me free. So Prospero is now as if bidding farewell to the audience who had come to watch the play. So this is how it is, a nice way to drop the curtains. So before the curtains are dropped, he takes permission of the audience to leave the stage. So he says that yes, all his magical powers, they are at an end. Why? Because he has renounced magic. He has already said that he would bury his magic books, magic wand deep in the earth, and yes, he will drown his magic books because he doesn't need the help of magic now. So he says that whatever strength I have, it is my own strength, not my magical strength. I am not powerful with my magic. So whatever strength I have, it is mine own. So yes, it is true that either I will be confined here or sent back to Naples. So since I have got back my dukedom, please don't keep me in this lonely island with your help, with your influence. Please don't confine me here in this lonely island. I've got my dukedom back. So let me go back to Naples to see the wedding of my daughter and Ferdinand, and then later I'll retire to Milan. So he is seeking the permission of the audience. So he says that please set me free from this. How? By giving me an applause, by clapping. Set me free by your parting applause or by your claps. So when the audience claps, the play ends. At the end of the play, please give me a hearty clap and free me from this bondage. So your good wishes, let them help me in filling up my sails. Let your good wishes be like winds and fill up my sails, so that I can reach my destination fast. Otherwise my plans fail. And what was my wish? My wish was to please you. I had come here to please you. This play was to please the audience. So I need an applause from you, and that will free me from this captivity. Otherwise my project fails. So I don't have my magical powers. So unless you relieve me with your prayers. Why? Because prayer is very powerful, and it has the power is very powerful, and it can reach mercy, and I can be pardoned for all my faults. So I need your prayers. If you pray for me, then I will be pardoned for all my faults. And in the same way as you wish to be forgiven for your own sins, please set me free from all my sins. This is an echo of something that was in Merchant of Venice, that we all wish to be mercy from God, and that is why that should teach us to be merciful towards others. So epilogue, go through it very well. So, and this is in a way said that it is Shakespeare's bidding farewell to stage.